This is Naija Unfiltered on SYMFONI TV. My name is Olawale Oluwade, and I have the privilege of having a dear brother of mine, and I mean a truly dear brother of mine and a friend from way back when we were young men in the city of Abuja. Veteran Nollywood actor, entertainment, media entrepreneur, personality, development. He also plays in the development field. Francis Duru. Let me say Chief Francis Duru.
Yes, yeah.
My dear brother. Nice to have you.
Brother Wale, it's been a while. I used to watch you and say, strong breed. But it's so nice.
We're from the same stock now, so...
Yeah, well, you're right.
We're from the same stock.
Yeah.
Good to have you, Francis.
My pleasure, sir.
Good to have you. Let's get on with our business. Recently, there was this brouhaha on social media about you and all of that. For the benefit of our teaming, millions of followers and your own followers all over the world. You want to speak about that briefly?
Well, so for me, it's something that one does not have to dwell on. But again, misinformation has its own challenges. But again, when mischief makers no longer want to identify with people's sweat, genuinely, we have put in so much. It's 36 years in this industry, and somebody decides to wish you evil. Some guy concocted one stuff and put a picture of some kind of skeletal human being and said that was my condition at that particular moment. Just like we have been used to it. So some people just wake up one day and say, so-and-so actor is dead. And by the time you knew it, the thing got so viral to a point that even people who mean so well to my person found it discomforting and were a little bit afraid, and they called to say, what is this rubbish? But as God will have it, we're on top of it. But I had to tell them, this is me, you've seen me, 59 and still bubbling. July 27, I turned 59. How else can you say God has been good?
Brilliant. So all of that is over.
No,
it was just, you didn't take any legal action against the perpetrators of such?
Well, let's just not talk much about that on air. But again, so many things in place towards that.
Okay. It's been said severally, that Nollywood, your industry, has the capacity, to cure, substantially, or maybe to some, serious extent, the unemployment challenge that we face in our country. And this has been ongoing. It's almost become like a cliche, and all of that. What response have you seen from government? A deliberate effort from government, either federal, states, to actually tap into this, leverage with or partner with Nollywood industry?
Well, in all fairness, I would say there has been some kind of partnership in, let me give so much credit to the Jonathan government. While I made it was intentional.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Jonathan government?
Yes.
There's Buhari and now Tinubu. That's almost 11 years.
Jonathan government, there was Project Act. It was deliberate because those in the fiscal ecosystem understood the power of the industry. And it was a project that was actually fashioned towards moving the industry to a place where it becomes bankable and it can fall into statistics actually of how much Nollywood generates. Now, you look at those in economics when they begin to talk economical, values, oil brings in this one brings in this. And nobody mentions how much Nollywood brings in. It's tremendous. I just came back from Enugu not too long filming. Now, if you go to everywhere in Nigeria today, there's a skeletal, the little bits of this thing happening. You are into economics, macro and micro. Which one is smaller? Micro is smaller. Micro units of entrepreneurial, projections happening as we speak now. Now the YouTube has come to expand, the climb. So whether you like it or not, it's a very robust of economic activities, employment around there. But while I say to some extent there are inputs, but again, it will be within the realm of 20% out of 100%. So the rest is holding talks. If you read Olarotimi's holding talks, it's all about talk. And so the industry is used to do headlines, grandstanding talk about people come policy, but it does not touch the people who are doing, So we get easily defined by how much a movie has made on Netflix. But the question is, it is not how much money you're making. It's about how much money you are not making. And if you look at that, I look at even banks. Sometimes I had some bankers, we sat down to talk. I said, listen, you are missing the point. The big box movies, how many of them, can you replicate them like in 1 month, 10 big box movies? No, they have their own dimension. Let's not talk about them. Some get burnt, but they can't cry in public. But the hype and all that stuff, so it's not helping us. But beyond all, anyone who has eyes to see deeper into Nollywood, you understand that it has created a whole lot of employment opportunities for the film industry till today. And it keeps growing. It never falls down. You go to Asaba, you go to Aba, you go to Port Harcourt, everywhere. Small units. People are filming. It's their lifestyle from one job to the other. And there we go. So it is.
Hollywood in America generates over 110 billion US dollars that it adds to the American economy as of 2024. Over 110 US dollars, 110 billion US dollars. Nigeria comes a distant, when I mean distant as in heaven and earth difference. We have not even scratched the surface. So I see that Nollywood, if fully harnessed, even if it's 50%, do you know, crude oil only gives us about 40, 50, okay, let's say 80 billion US dollars per annum. Do you know Nollywood can actually give Nigeria?
But I said something when we started. I said it is not how much we are making. It's how much we are not making.
What is responsible for a gap, this huge gap that people in government, in authority can't see it? Is it that you guys, who are the actors, the operators of the industry, the leader? Francis, since I knew you've been in this industry.
Yes, 36 years.
We're talking of almost 36 years.
Yeah.
Why are you guys not creating the awareness enough for what's happening?
No, I told you something when we started. I said when Jonathan saw the potential in the industry, he did something.
And you mentioned Dr. Ngozi Okoye.
Yes, she was the coordinating minister of the economy. So the question we should be asking, what did she see that others are not seeing? What did Jonathan see that others are not seeing? That's the truth be told. So it's like where you have seen the industry as a play people, more or less entertainment, more or less to garnish, design your events, Nollywood stars,
comic relief for
But like I told you, I know it. Nobody can teach me that. I know how much impact we are making economically. Like you mentioned, this data you're providing now, where is it? When they do the economic lookout for each month or thereabout, you see oil and gas brought in this, gold, this one, stock exchange, Did you ever see creative industry? So where is this money? It's because there is no attempt to look deeply into it. So why ignore a goose that lays a golden egg? And that's the question. Is it ignorance? Is it more or less a laissez-faire attitude towards it? Then why would you, at a time that your country needs so much revenue streams.
Exactly.
And you look
Exactly.
down in something that's your potential. What it takes to build this own industry to stand isn't much. It's all about necessary infrastructure. Let me give you a typical example. Globalcom stepped in. The telecommunication industry took a totally different look. Till today, have they stopped? They are still there at the top. They are still doing what they are supposed to do. And I'm also asking, why don't we have more or less a streaming platform that you can just put up together? We have the various telecommunications, trade and industry, culture and tourism and all that. To come back and look, okay, do you know what it means to take only our epics from the 6 geopolitical zones? That every year you shoot one epic from the 6 geopolitical zones and you stream it up. This is trade secret. But whoever takes it, remember we said this here on this platform, you know how much you generate in the creative industry sector. You can follow it. Cultural diplomacy alone can give us all we need. That exchange from one country to the other, you push it, and even on their own side. Those are the kind of discussions we're having. Korea, you see how Korean films are actually making it up?
Yeah, they're coming up strongly.
You think they don't like Nigerian market, 200 million plus? You think if they want, they can get just 10% of this market? Do you know what 20 million followers does to? So I'm telling you the potential we have. We have the resources, we have the manpower, we have the population, but just leadership.
I'm asking this question again, and I'll keep reiterating it. Francis, why are Nigerian politicians, the leaders of this country, why are they not seeing this, permit me to use the phrase, gold mine that is just staring at everybody?
Yeah, the answer is simple. The transactional nature of our politics undermines development. Where, permit the overflow cliche, where politicians see the next election and not the next generation. So, as against a transformative pattern towards governance and leadership, that is the problem. So, you don't see this low-hanging fruit because they take time to be harnessed in process, so you don't get a quick fix from it and all that stuff. But in all fairness, so there are people who actually dedicated time and put money in the creative industry. Like Donald Duke, when Donald Duke created the Tinapa, it was actually, that was a picture, and some others too who actually, I keep mentioning Jonathan, Then let's say for this government, the one thing they have done too is to say, okay, fine, let's have you people actually handle your industry. But the person who is at the top, like I said, is a lawyer. But the lawyer who has some level of creativity in her, which will only resound in her style, not in the style of the industry. And so whether you like it or not, the policy makers and those who are the core practitioners, there's a divide. How do you blend? How does your policy influence what is happening? Then I don't think we'll be having this conversation. But if we look at the opportunities, the potential that in a country with almost 200 and something million, why can't we have a platform that can consistently stream 20 million movies? That's money. I'm making money, you are making money, the country is making money, we're all growing. But nobody sees that, or these guys don't see it, because they always want a quick fix mechanism. And the industry thrives in process, whether you like it or not. So, for the ones that have made headlines, the question you ask yourself, how often? My mentor, Ugochukwu Omogu, said something. He said, any result you cannot repeat, you borrow the first one. So, it still lies on leadership. some say we are an industry that started without institutions. Well, it depends on what institutions mean. They are relative. The guys who started it saw business in it and they started it and it blew. 1993, when living in bondage, the Nollywood phenomenon now, living in bondage, not with due respect to what the great Hubert Ogunde and the rest who provided a robust of cinema culture. Yeah, and we appreciate them for actually showing that light. But the question is, why can't we still go back to the past? They will tell you issues of security, how many people go out in the night and all that stuff. And lifestyle has become different. Today, what most people want to go to like lounge as against cinema culture, theater culture. But let me tell you the truth. The devoted cinema and theater watchers are still there. That's why when you mention Kunle Afolayan, you come there.
Bolanle or St. Peter's.
Or St. Peter's. These are people who have actually made their mark, and we thank God for the mark they have left, and 247. So it speaks to traces of other things too that can come from this other side, that if these people could, it means this is a way, this is a way, this is a way. But the question now is, I can't do more than myself. I want to survive. If I do the film, I want to make ends meet. There are films people have shot. They are stuck. They put their money, they put their life, no distribution, system. There are some have been speaking to people to how to market and all that stuff. It's difficult. So how do you create that ecosystem that will actually bring some ease within distribution? And that's why I see some of these guys, these people you mentioned, when they came into this YouTube space, is because it doesn't have some kind of restriction, but again, follow the standard and all that. So why don't we copy? There's nothing about copying, but copy the right cards. And that's my take to it.
The last bit on this, and then we'll switch gears. How come you guys are more of you guys are not coming up with bankable projects? Where 30 days in Atlanta, 30 days, by, what's his name now?
AY.
AY, Ayo Makon. Fantastic movie. And the guy has done well for himself. And like I mentioned, Wedding Party 1 and 2, by Moabudu. Quite a few of them in that line. Bankable projects that got people to finance them. Because my brother Francis, whether you like it or not, where we started from, when we started this session, there's so much rich history.
Let me take
that
it.
If you guys put up a concept note and present it to a financier.
No, you see, let's go back to the faith we all profess. If I give you a good story now within the faith climb, and I tell you I need 600 million to shoot this, and I present everything to you, how quick? It still speaks to interest. These guys were able to get this funding because they found people who had interest in the industry. It's all about interest. I told you something. There are guys who have stinking money. All they need to lay it down and they go and sleep. And this industry will be giving them stinking. Distribute 20 million copies streaming alone gives you how much money you've made. And continues. There's a guy in Abuja now, the guy who is doing that is the king of YouTube. All he does every week is filming. So if I walk up to that guy and I say, okay, this is what I have for this. So bankability is a plus. But people in the institution, financial institutions too, are locked up in a box. They are scared to think outside the box. They are scared to try new things. All they want is safety of their money. But is it possible that you take a little risk and expand the industry and begin to make so much from it? Some years back, I sat down with a bank. I said, okay, check how many you are. Build a package that connects, every customer of yours actually buys the movie without knowing that they have paid for it. So if you have 10 million customers, each time you release your movie, it goes to 10 million people. So strategies. You see, we are doing our stuff. We'll try our best. We are not businessmen. But when we become businessmen and the businessmen meet us, they fall our hands because they come up with some very high-level financial decision. It's not once, not twice, not thrice. We are in the same faith. Has there been any treatment of any of the stories in the Bible from an African perspective? Great stories from an African perspective. What is the population of the body of Christ? Yet when we did King of this one, the King of Boys or what they did, I know how many gospel goers per se who went to watch it. So if I come to a big brother in church, I say, this is actually, I need 200 million, 300. All these guys you're talking about, they were privileged enough to have seen people who have interest in the industry. Like I said, where there is a will, there's a way.
Okay, let's leave that for now. I think we've exhaustively dealt with this, and recommendations have come up, and for me, the biggest one is streaming app, a Nigerian, specific purpose design streaming app that retains our revenues here.
Yeah.
Rather than all these Netflix and the rest of them taking all the money
200
out
and something million. If you just get even 20% of that, it's big now.
That's really huge. And of course, the other one is standardization. Let's switch gears. There's a growing trend amongst thespians, veering into the realm of the world of politics. Kenneth Okonkwo now is a speaker, spokesperson to the Atiku Amechi campaign team. Richard Mufedamijo was two-time commissioner in Delta State.
Yeah.
Of course, the list is endless, creative people who have gone into politics. Why is your name missing in action?
Well, you see, when it comes to politics, there are people who have liver for politics.
Your liver overdone,
No,
Francis.
my liver overdone. It's not for transactional. My brother, if I enter politics, I go die the next day because one, you see, the truth about it, I need to tell you, the artist is actually a reformer, and the artist is supposed to be one of those who should handle, places of government, because you are in the middle of the society. I'll give you a story. We were filming some time ago, and the house we were filming, the next morning we came to film there. There was a serious feud. 2 brothers, machetes drawn.
Oh, wow.
It was that bad. But for the first 4 days we've been coming to that particular house, one of the brothers there, the guy who was very notorious, became my friend. He will go outside, he will buy a drink. It's for his friend, Ahanna. He will call his friends, also they will come there, and I sit down with them. And sometimes I drink what they are drinking just to connect, that kind of a thing. And so the guy was so elated and was quick to introduce me to his friends and all that stuff. So when I'm eating, I'll tell you, come and wash your hand, let us eat. And the parents were there. They said, wow. When you say Christmas and girlfriend, that kind of balance. And I never knew I had made an impact. So that money would come out. As we came out, they said, the guy goes, I just said, who be now? He turned, looked at me. I said, drop that machete. The guy dropped it instantly and said, it's because of you, it's because of you. He left. He did not come to that house 2 days after. In the night, the father called me. I said, thank you.
You saved the day.
Thank you. I thought I was going to lose either 2 of my sons or 1 of them. Thank you. The man went and bought some, and gave me coconuts and all those things. Why am I telling you this? We are influencers, for good and for bad. There are some movies we do, people look at it. There are ideals we prescribe. There are evils we describe. And it goes deep to change people. So, but again, like I said, I don't have liver. I don't know how to call black white, and I don't know how to call white black. If every man must have a SWOT analysis of himself. But if you say appointment and all that stuff, we have the capacity. I have worked behind the scene. I worked for Jonathan behind the scene, or even in front. But when I realized that, it's not something you have family and all that stuff, I don't get their liver. And I make bold to say it. If we say, this is I'm a coward, thank you for being a coward. I remain a coward. But it does not mean that we are not willing to go in there and do what we're supposed to do. But my brother.
One of your colleagues, Funke Akindele, she was deputy governorship
governorship
candidate in 2023
yes.
for Lagos State for that matter. I'm sure I would love to have her here to also hear our own experience.
But the question is, what inspired her? She had the desire, and the governor was ready to say, okay, fine, I want you. So you need cover. And now these days, it's very, very funny that when somebody sponsors you and not that particular thing, you pay the godfather. You see that the godfatherism thing and all that stuff. So we all have our principles. And if I know too well that I don't think I want to bend to that extent, so I stay away. But again, does not mean that we are not ready. We are getting there now.
Some would counter you by saying, if all the good men stay away, is that not why we have this? Madness, in inverted commas, that we have now? Francis,
I know.
19. One of my big regrets, and I'm glad I'm speaking to somebody like you because we were together 1998.
Yes.
You and I were young men together.
Yes,
1998,
yes, I remember.
in this city.
Yes.
Imagine if we had jumped on the train then,
but I'll tell you,
shut our noses and said, "Oh, this."
But I'll tell you the truth. When Jonathan lost election, I lost interest in politics. I'll tell you the truth. Because if Jonathan had won that election, because I worked, and I don't need to beg anybody to want to accept it or not. So it only followed that, okay, since you're already in the system, you're built into the system to begin to work. And I respect those who have persistently and consistently worked with people, and today they have come out. And those who have come out, but like I tell you the truth now, whether we like it or not, Nigerian politics is getting to that point where the good men have no choice but to come out. If we must build a new Nigeria where leadership must change dimensions, we must have to come out.
Okay. Please, give me your own personal analysis, your own observation, your reading of our political trajectory, even if we limit it to just 1999 that I referenced, the successive governments till today. What has been the level of development, improvements that you have seen, developments, like I said, progress? Have we made any substantial progress in any? What's your reading? Are we making progress, or are we stagnated, or are we going backwards?
Well, I'll tell you the truth, and I don't want to align to any political. I'll tell you the truth. Coming out of the military into the Obasanjo era was a process, and that process continued to Yar'Adua, continued to Jonathan, and Buhari's turn. Without fear or favor, it nosedived.
From when?
The Buhari era. It nosedived. Let's tell the truth as the truth. Now I'll tell you the truth, and I'll give it to Tinubu. And I'll tell you why. The man met a devastated nation. We were finished. I told my pastor one time when it was time for the election with Buhari and this, I said, I'll tell you the truth. We should be careful, and Nigerians should always know people who want to be president or governors because it's an ambition, I just want to be, and people who want to serve. I don't know what happened to Buhari's government, but I believe there are some key persons who left his government by way of death who actually messed him up. The likes of, I don't want to mention them, But Buhari's government did not help the country in terms of economy. It nosedived. And he was supposed to be the Messiah to actually come and actually build things. That's the truth, whether we like it or not, take it or leave it. Now, I'll say thumbs up to the Tinubu government to a large extent, because it's like when they came in, the first two things he did was like the subsidy things and all that of it was too drastic without setting up more or less how to cushion the effect. And that's where he lost it. Now, let's look at our fiscal policy. To a large extent, there has been some level of progress. But the question is, politics is all about the people. Where are the people? What do the people actually need to say government is doing well?
Rate Tinubu's performance, the government, in terms of empathy, compassion for the people. Rate them on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being excellent.
For the man himself,
Yes.
Tinubu,
have you?
Yes, I'll rate him 7.
Oh, he has compassion for the people.
He has
empathy
compassion.
for the
I'm
people.
coming, sir. Then there's some level of discordant voices from the people who are representing him. Because I'll tell you the truth, there is no leader who is bereft of compassion for the people, empathy. For the man himself, you see, it is there. He is a people's man. He's a people-oriented. So whether you like it or not, the heart of any leader, no matter how hardened it may be. But you see, I think there's this murky waters where discordant voices who come to actually represent him actually paint him wrongly. And at the end of the day, but they say 7 out of 10 in terms of empathy. I'll tell you the truth. I'm not speaking to align to anything, but call me up anytime. So now, like I said, this is an illustration. You come in to meet a bushy place, everything turns and all that stuff. So what you do, you sweep one side, you plant. You sweep one side, you plant. So for me, it's the pain of the people is the issue. To a large extent, there are some reforms in some various sectors. Whether you like it or not, like yes on wiki or not, the man has made his impact. He's clear to tell you, this is who I am, this is what I want to do, this is my boss. And in so short a time, what he has done in Abuja, infrastructure-wise, is perfect. But all we beg him is to add more of human infrastructure and all that stuff. Let them be at least 75%, as compared to what you have done in infrastructure. Then in telecommunications, even in education, we are seeing some new levels. So I'm not the kind of person who say, just close my eyes to the good things that are happening. It's an admixture. But that first decision and all that stuff created a bad blood. It looks at you, you don't like the people. And, like you said, empathy, 7 out of 10.
Okay. Some listening to us, Francis, would wonder where you got your rating from. You have a right to your own opinion.
Yes.
Because let me give an example. Over the weekend, and I say this before God and man, I was communicating with someone you would not even expect that level of high reasoning, someone who does some chores for me. And he said, sir, he does not care what anybody is saying. The only thing that the government, the president can do that would actually impact the general lives of everybody, whether you are north, south, east, west, fair, black, Muslim, Christian, that just reduce the price of PMS.
That's what I say, fuel and electricity.
That once you he didn't mention, he said, just bring down the price of PMS to say 800 naira. Then everybody will know that, okay, you have compassion. Do you agree with that, Francis?
Yes. But I said it.
Do you agree with that?
Yes. No, but that's what I said. Your fiscal policy is very, very right. But again, government is about the people. If the people are hurting and your policies are glowing,
But
It's
those
on
policies are
paper.
making them hot the more.
Yes, but again, you overheard a presidential advisor say, I don't think there's hunger anywhere.
Absolutely.
Do you think the president will say that?
The president can say, the Tinubu that I know from television can say that.
Well,
He can say that.
I'm not, say, I have my own parameters, and I'll tell you the truth. And one of the biggest issues is that who represents you when you are not there? They have not represented him well. If you are a people's man, why would you want to see them suffer? So for me, there are ties, there are some web of, this thing that, okay, you can't just do this because of this. It's what they tell you. You cannot be everywhere. But again, as the president, like I said, I always say it, and I'm saying it every which time, all you can do, there are always exceptions to the rules. Bend the rule of fuel and transportation, and everybody is happy.
We're fast approaching elections, general elections.
Yes.
5-6 months, thereabout. Yes. Now, do you see any change, radical change in the standard of living of Nigerians? Should, in case power changes and maybe Atiku becomes president, or Peter Obi becomes president, or Shekarau becomes president, Adebayo Adewale becomes president, Donald Duke becomes, do you see a scenario where any of these guys become elected presidents? And, some of these things we have said, like maybe reduce the cost of this. Do you see that happening? Any radical?
There is a possibility based on the choice of people. And I'll tell you, from these persons, whether we like it or not, I say you use your eye to see mango with unripe. It's torn between who amongst them is transactional.
And who is ready to serve
and who is
the
ready
people.
to serve. The operating word is to serve.
Exactly. Francis, sorry to butt in, and this is my last interruption. Please, give Nigerians, the millions of Nigerians that will come across this video. You're my brother. We've come a long way. We know each other very well. I know you to be a very honest person. I can vouch for you. Assess each of these presidential candidates. Bola Tinubu. Compare him to Atiku Abubakar. Omoyele Sowore. Adebayo Adewale of the SDP. Peter Obi of the NDC. And Donald Duke of the PRP. Assess each of these. I don't know who you're backing. You may wish to tell us who you're backing, or don't if you don't want to. But assess them. Who do you think is the best man going forward for Nigeria?
No, let me put it this way. I will not call name. I will not call names.
If you don't call them, how would you know?
No, I'm coming. You see, use your tongue and count your teeth. Yeah. Who amongst them is a servant leader? Go back and check history. Who amongst them is truly a servant leader? And a servant leader is one who is not haughty, one who is ready to mingle with the people, one who identifies with the people 24/7. A servant leader. One who actually identifies with the pains of the people, irrespective of, administrative bottleneck. It's just my simple parameter. What we need in this country is servant leadership. Just look around and ask yourself the question. I have not committed myself to say, no, my choice is my choice. But servant leadership, away from transactional. Because transactional politics is where you have to do things to settle this person because you want to say, but people who can confront the truth, say, this is the problem with the nation. I don't care whether the North likes me. I don't care whether the East likes me. Based on what I want to do, I'm going to do it. The essence is for the common man to benefit from it. Who amongst them can actually reduce the pain of the common man? That's my take.
What's your view on cost of governance? Part of the criticisms, heavy criticism of President Tinubu is that he came in while he took that decision of the fuel subsidy gone on the day of inauguration and sent the economy on a tailspin, as it were, wrecked people's lives, wrecked businesses, and all of those, Forget about macroeconomic indicators that are going forward. People's lives have been ruined, Francis.
I know.
Irrevocably.
I know.
Yet, the president bought a brand new aeroplane.
Yes.
Bought a yacht, bought Escalade, all of those. And political leaders are living large. What is the response of whoever you want to recommend? You've said you need a servant leader. What should that person's recommendation, the person's view should be on cost of governance? Should we continue in this level of obscene?
I'll tell you something. Ostentatious lifestyle within our political class has been. You see, do me a favor. Do me a favor. Don't just look at the president. Because once you look at the president, it looks as if you're just trying to vilify him. But there's a recurring decimal of this kind of things in virtually people at that particular level. Why must you have somebody who is not even governor or president? You're moving a convoy of almost how many persons? Ostentatious. A servant leader would not want to do that. So the ostentatious lifestyle is something that we have actually inherited over the times, and you cannot act yourself out of what you have been processed in. You only have to process your way out of what you have been processed
conditioned
to
seeing as normal.
So whether we like it or not, it's a two-way thing. It's a reorientation. I get in government, let's say I'm president or governor, I decide I just want only 3 cars. It will be my own people say, look at this mumu man, why is he having only 3? Why in his house are they not calling us to come? Is he not our brother, the governor? The people also matter. What is our mindset? So the cost of governance in Nigeria is outrageous. So it is something that over the years we have inherited and amplified. So the question is, who can put a stop to it? It takes only 7 leadership.
Brilliant. Last one, Francis. It's almost like a joke now when we talk about it, corruption. My brother, how bad has corruption brought Nigeria to her knees? How much damage, the scale of damage that corruption has done? You know what, my brother Francis? I know many of my friends, and I'm not ashamed to say this, and it is making me to review my circle constantly, to reshuffle my close circle. I meet more Nigerians who tell me they will do worse than those in government. Because why? They see what those who have done it over and over, and they got away with it.
But
how bad has corruption destroyed this country? And can we even go anywhere without dealing with this monster of corruption?
Now it comes from who the servant leader is. I'll give you a joke on a lighter note.
The servant leader is not corrupt, but then he is weak corruption.
There is a servant leader who's got guts to actually attack a rotten system. I said it here. Irrespective of whose odds is God, whether if I do it because the person is a northerner, the northerner will not look at my way, or if I do it because of religion and all that stuff. One who can look beyond that facade of, what do you call it now? What's that in politics?
Bigotry, tribalism,
and all those. Who can look beyond that facade and actually look at what is good for the people. If ethnicity is going to be the blockade, I yank it off without bothering, I'll tell you a joke on the issue of corruption. A very decent man, everybody knows him, was having good reputation, went to this black market, changed dollar, and came out, found out that they gave him fake $200, 100, fake. It was like, what kind of country is this? How can people be doing this? I went to change, they gave me 200 fake dollars. They said, okay, where is it? The man said, I've used it.
Wow. Wow. Rather than go back, get the person arrested, he also used it.
So Jonathan said something about the oil industry. And that is how it is within the generality of our system. It's like oil. When it touches one finger, it stretches to all. So the question now is, who then is sane? That's a title of a play written by Professor Benjamin Ejiofor. Who then is sane? Is it just the leader or the follower? How much of are we committed to say we can say this is corruption? You just said it. You must say, I will do worse. And that's the mentality of so many Nigerians. Even those you think are, when they get there, they corrupt you. The system is the system. And until you put a pause on the system, it becomes more or less a vicious cycle happening, and there's stagnation, the nation is not growing. There's a big problem. What are we showing our children?
How do we deal with corruption, Francis? How do we solve this corruption debacle? How? Is there any hope for Nigeria dealing with corruption?
See, I believe there is hope. There's a Greek philosophy, there's a Greek mechanism in Greek theater when the play is being done and the resolution is too difficult for man. There's a machine that descends. They call it Deus ex machina. That Deus ex machina is a hand of divinity. Sometime in this country, they were actually in a very difficult and
it was all over.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, who was the enemy of the state just eased out. I believe in my faith that there's a God who actually proposed something for this country. And whatever they do cannot thwart the intents and the purpose of God for this nation. And how he will do it, I do not know. But you see, one day it will happen. And you say, now wow, we thank God.
So Francis, are you saying, I mean, from your statement now that we should leave it in God's hands?
No, I'm not saying we should leave it in God's hands. Let's do our best. And our best is to have thorough reorientation. What is corruption? Because there's a tendency where the wrong things have become a norm that we have accepted. So what is corruption to you may not be to me. Oh boy, leave that in, so don't they do will not be you go come spoil them. Because the person is benefiting from it. So it's a serious problem. We solve it by understanding that it is not just the leader's problem, but you, the follower, it is your problem. Are you ready to say, no, don't do this?
Okay, let's end with this, my brother. You lead the youth ministry.
Yes.
In FWC, right?
Yes.
That's Family Worship Center.
Yeah.
Okay. And there is a reason why I brought that up as perhaps my last question. How worried are you for the youth of this country in terms of antisocial behaviors, outright criminalities, deviant practices, and the list goes on? How worried are you for the youths of Nigeria? And they are in their they're about 60%, 65% of the entire population.
Yes. Now, you mentioned my foundation, which is the church. And I'll tell you, it is scary, but again, it is hopeful. Because I have been in a church where I've seen young men and women who had worst of situations and all that stuff, and they've been able to come out and have become fine gentlemen and ladies
of society.
And I'll tell you the truth. When I say leadership, it's not only at the top, from the house, from the church. So what are we also doing to actually put a stop before this virus stretches to our children? And I'll tell you the truth, we have been very deliberate in our teachings, in our relationship with it. We are working towards our youth festival, Family Worship Center. It's a thorough time where they come, deep spirituality, leadership. We make them lead from amongst themselves, and you see their various vulnerabilities, and you're able to deal with it. Now, what you're able to deal with amongst them in that small listen, they take it home. What they take home, they grow with it and they become. So you can't influence them. So what we are trying to do to them is that for you to understand that you must have a blockade that you can step into the chaotic world and still be who you are, actually professing your faith, without allowing the wrong things define you. So you get the point. So for me, it is scary, but it is hopeful. Hopeful, dependent on what parents are doing, dependent on what churches are doing, dependent on what social clubs. Government cannot do it alone. And bringing the child up is not just about government. It starts from the house. The armed robber there, the young lady on the street and all that stuff, they are products of wrong parenting somehow or the other. And so parents should rise beyond who is president or beyond who is governor or beyond who is local government. A child can actually change the dimensions of things. Children can, the youths can. And so this is the time, and I love what's happening to the youth today. There's a level of civic militancy to say, okay, no, this should not be, this is who we are and all that stuff. They rise up to there's a script I'm reading. It's all about rising against what is wrong. And you can't shut those voices, but amplify them through your teachings, your direction, your guide. He said, thy word is light unto our path and lamp unto our feet. And that's actually the tool we have been using. For me, coming from the platform where the Christendom, the Pentecostal Family Worship Center, we use the word to correct what is wrong, and it begins to build and begin to turn into reformed and transformed human being, and we are not scared of who they become outside.
Great. Nice place to anchor, my dear brother Francis.
A pleasure.
It's been a pleasure having you.
God bless you.
And I'm sure we'll do this,
No,
again.
anytime.
We'll do this again soon.